Nikii Syme, welcome to Awake. Now,
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
it's a pleasure. I'm just so excited to have you here. There's so much goodness that's going to come out of today's interview. Now, for
Hmm.
those of you who don't know Nikii Syme, She's leading a revolution of women who are deeply committed to blissful love and relationships. Nikki
Yeah.
is with her dream partner and also has 3 kids. That's a handful. She also runs a successful business
Hmm.
helping single women who are just pretty much over the whole dating scene, and tired couples utilize philosophies and proven techniques to achieve rapid results. That's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. The first thing that comes to my mind is when I read and hear about and engage with people who are just have had such a full life and who are doing amazing things in the world, there's always some sort of, I don't want to say pain, it doesn't have to be framed negatively, but there's been some sort of journey that's brought them to become the person that they are today. I would love to hear about your journey.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's what gives us that journey of the pain and the trauma or overcoming adversity is what really gives us a deeper understanding of humans, right? And a deeper, like a deeper ability to be able to serve and help people, which is what it's all about, right?
Mhm.
So for me, my biggest journey was always around love and feeling good enough and feeling worthy. And I was always seeking love. I was always seeking that beautiful soulmate relationship. I was always seeking that person to like do life with. But it was the one thing that tended to evade me the most. And I went through, my first love cheated on me, which, validated all my I'm not good enough stories from my childhood. Had a really not healthy relationship with my dad, who was a manic depressive, but undiagnosed.
Mhm.
So my experience of what love was as a child was really toxic and really unhealthy. It was like extreme highs where it was just like smothered in love and then complete withdrawal. And there would be no love at all. Like it was like I didn't exist. So obviously that's what I grew up understanding love to be. And then my relationships from that point on came into my life to validate those beliefs and those stories and to reaffirm that this is what love was. And then, yeah, I guess I went through this journey where I was really good at self-sabotaging. I was really good at pushing away. I wouldn't really let people fully into my heart, and I was so emotionally unavailable that I would just drive relationships away. And it was really fascinating, actually, because majority of the relationships I was in, I was the one that ended them. However, I was treating these men really, really poorly, and they just wouldn't leave me. It was really like, but I couldn't see, like, I was so consumed by, I'm not good enough, this is going to end, I have to protect myself and run away. So I guess the catalyst that really kind of got me to where I am today and doing the work that I am today was that I met this really beautiful guy. So he used to run past my work, and I used to work in a restaurant, manage a restaurant. My girlfriend used to manage one down near the beach. She was up in Cairns. And there was this man that used to run past, and he was beautiful, like absolutely beautiful. And we would connect, like I would see him and I'd message my girlfriend and say, oh my God, Running Man's on his way. And we'd like have a little
I
purse
love the
session.
names that
like,
girlfriends make up for guys.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, running man, got
yeah.
it.
Running Man. Yeah, and we just had this like really fun kind of flirty, like just perv thing going on. And one night after work, we were sitting having a glass of wine, and my bosses dared me to go and ask him out. And I had a bit of Dutch courage under my wings and under the belt, and I ran out and I was like running and hiding behind trees and like having these moments of confidence, like yes, I'm going to do it, and then like oh my God, I'm terrified and hiding until eventually I got to him and I asked him out. Anyway, this started a really beautiful relationship for us together. But there was an aspect in that that was really unfulfilling for me, and it was a really important piece around sex.
Mm.
But what happened was that I got so consumed by everyone loving him and the fact that he was so beautiful and so sexy and like just had like we got on really, really well. Mr. Right on paper, but knew he wasn't my person. And rather than acknowledging that, I remained in this, and I ended up actually cheating on him, because that part of me that was really important and really important in a relationship as well was not being nourished. It wasn't feeling fulfilled. So I guess when that happened, the shame kicked in of, I'm a terrible person. Why did I not just walk away rather than leading him on and, falling down into this pit and then hurting him in such a way that after that broke up, I kind of suppressed my emotions by jumping into a half Ironman, as you do, and then came out of that. And, with any kind of big event, you have this extreme high, and then usually there's a bit of a crash, and the crash was amplified by the shame and the guilt that I was still carrying, that I hadn't processed. And then that ended me up in a relationship with an incredibly toxic, narcissistic drug addict. And next minute, I'm doing hard drugs. I'm smoking weed every night. I'm drinking alcohol every night. I'm being, am I right to swear? I just better check that I'm right to say the F-bomb.
That's one on my channel before, and I've gone, can I swear? And I said, actually, I can swear. I mean, if anyone can make the rules, it's me. So please go ahead and swear. For me, it's a word of passion, right?
Okay.
Just to really
yes.
saying, because it's just so passionate. Yes,
I agree. So yeah, essentially being like fucked like a whore, essentially, by this guy. And it was bizarre, because I was like outside of myself, looking down on this relationship going, why are you doing this? And knowing that I was punishing myself for what I had done to the guy before. So this went on for about 6 months, until I thankfully had an incredible friend who slapped me on the face and was like, stop, this is enough now, you need to end this. And I did. So I had a guy in New Zealand at the time who, since I was 17 and I was now like 30, had kind of been my go-to. Like, he was my ego booster if I ever needed to have like a fling. And I was madly in love with him when I was younger, but he was always like my just in case guy. And he flew me over to New Zealand, and we had this beautiful 2 weeks together. And we were like, okay, we're going to give this a go. And I came back, and he refused to come over. And I guess this was the final nail in the coffin for me to go, okay, something has to change here. Because again, after 16 years, or no, 14 years, whatever it was, he was still not willing to make the effort to fly over to Australia and come and visit me here, when I was the one going to be flying back over there. So this was kind of like the amplifier of the catalyst of like, okay, Nick, it's time to actually really wake up. And I did. So from that moment when that happened, I was like, right, we're done. Completely cut it off. I took myself into like this 4-month sabbatical of abstaining from relationships, men, dating. I had conversations, really tough conversations with guys in my life that I had been holding on to as my just in cases, or, the guy that you're like, I'm 35, but if we're not married by 35, we'll have kids. Like every little backup plan.
Backups.
Yeah,
backups.
right.
Yeah.
Backups. But it's all energy blocking validation. It's all stuff, this energy that was really blocking me from actually being with myself, and then also allowing my soulmate to come into my life. So that next 4 months, and it was really beautiful. I remember that final conversation that I had with my best friend of like 10 years, who I'd been in love with since I was 16, saying to him, I can't be your friend anymore. I need to cut this off. I remember hanging up that conversation and just sitting there, and for the first time in my life feeling alone. And it was like, or being alone, not feeling alone, but like really knowing I was alone. I didn't have those backups anymore. I had completely like removed those possibilities. And it was liberating. I just felt like this weight came off my shoulders, and it was like, okay, now we get to begin the work. Now we get to really come home to you, Nick, and really be with you. So over the next 4 months, it was a journey. It was a ride. It was a lot of self-reflection, a lot of self-awareness, uncovering a lot of like toxic, negative beliefs, changing the narrative, changing my story, changing the way I thought about myself and the beliefs I had around love and relationships, and then coming back to real joy in my life and being the source of that, not seeking the love and the happiness outside of me, but really creating that within myself. And when I kind of got to that point where I was like, yeah, okay, this feels really good. I'm really excited to be single and just have fun. I was like, cool, I'm going to get on dating apps and I'm going to have some fun. I just wanted to have sex, essentially. So I had like, I think it was about 3 guys for about 3 weeks in a row. I had 3 different men that I connected with on Tinder, which was good fun. But it was interesting because in the past, or prior to this, I would have been like, oh, like there was a police guy who was really hot, and then there was a fireman. I had a bit of a theme going on. And they were really beautiful men. Yeah. Yeah.
And then there was a chef. And then there was a soldier. I don't know what the theme was, but kidding. Yes.
So good. But there was this real knowing for the first time that I wasn't willing to say yes. And all of them wanted to continue more with me, and it was like a hard no. And I remember being on Tinder, and the year before this all happened, I'd done the half Ironman, and I was taking the year off and intending to do it the full the next year. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to get on Tinder and I'm going to bag me a sexy Ironman for the weekend, just a bit of fun. So I jump online, and this guy pops up, and I kind of look at him, and he's got this, like, you know, that awkward photo where he's obviously cut someone out. He's got his arm around someone and he's cut her out of the photo. Yeah. And I was like, oh, what an idiot. And, you know, swiping through the photo.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm swiping through the photos, and I'm like, oh, no. And I go to swipe, I think it's left to say no, and my finger went right. And I was like, oh, okay, shit. Oh, well. We matched, and then a message popped up, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever, we'll just go for it. We had a chat. And then we kind of actually headed off. I was like, oh, this is quite good banter. And then he was like, oh, you're coming down to the race tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, I'm planning on heading down in the morning. He's like, well, send me a message when you get down there and I'll come and find you. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. You're not going to have your phone on you. Like, there's no point. But anyway, I got down there and I was tossing and, you know, toing and froing. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to send him a message. And if he responds, he does. And if he doesn't. And he responded instantly. And he's like, cool, where are you? I'll come find you. And I was like, at this point, I'm like, oh, okay, shit. Okay, cool. Cool with this. And I just remember standing there with my puppy, and I was like looking around, like looking for him, like, where is he? How am I going to know who this is? And I looked down at my dog, and as I looked back up, our eyes met, and it was like instant. My body just went, like, it was just this knowing that he was my person. And 7 years later, 3 kids, and here we are.
Oh my God, there's good gems in what you shared. Where do I start? I really love when you shared how, I mean, there's a lot of things that you had experienced and gone through, and you know, there was highs, there was lows, there was extremes, you know, the drug taking and that. I really loved how, as all those played out, you always kind of stopped and did the deeper work on, like, why am I choosing this for myself? Okay, why am I with this person now? Okay, I'm feeling guilty from cheating on this person. Therefore, now I'm punishing myself with this other person or taking drugs. I really loved how you went through the experiences, but you also stopped in between all of it. And no matter how chaotic it was, you thought, what are the lessons here? Why am I doing this? And then took them on board, and then then the next person came along. And then you took all those lessons in and then merged them with yourself and deeper work and childhood. And yeah, I just love how everything that you've experienced, you grew from it. I just love that, because a lot of people, they go from one relationship to another, perhaps experience things similar to you, but they don't do any internal work, and they don't ask themselves as to, why am I choosing this for myself? Like, why have I attracted this person? There's never any whys or internal work, and I just love that you've done that. And because you've done that, you were able to make space for this amazing man who now you have 3 kids with. I just love that.
Yeah, it was really coming back to, like, really sitting in the fact that in all of my relationship experiences, I was the common denominator, you know? So it's like, okay, there is a responsibility. And I think that's where a lot of people slip into that victim of, like, why is this happening to me? Why did he do this to me? Well, you're actually choosing it as well. And it may be really hard to hear. And it is, it's confronting to actually sit in that and go, oh, there's a piece of me that actually likes this. There's a piece of me that feels safe in this, feels secure in this, because this is what I believe or perceive love to be. So when we can actually step back and go, okay, cool, I'm the common denominator. What's actually here? Why do I keep co-creating this experience? The empowerment that comes from that, because then you can actually create change that will bring about change, that will bring about a different kind of love into your life, as opposed to just sitting there being a victim and then wondering why the same patterns or the same kind of toxic relationships keep showing up for you. It's so important.
So empowering to hear you say that, but even you're even saying that knowing, I know, the audience knows that you had a narcissistic relationship. Like, for me, I can totally relate. I love what you're saying. For me, it's been like one narcissist literally after another. And it just got to a point where it was like, what am I doing to attract this? Like, what is it that I need to change energetically? Work on perhaps in my childhood. There was just so many different elements as to why I was basically a narcissist magnet. And when I really did that work, no more narcissists. Done.
Mm-hmm.
No, nothing. But that's okay. At least there's not narcissists.
Yes.
You know?
And that's it. It's like you all of a sudden become, and we talk about magnetism, right? Of like how when the magnets can match, they come together, but whereas when they're not right for one another, they have that resistance. And that's where essentially a lot of people are sitting, and that when they continue to attract those relationships, because the magnets are not vibing, but they're ignoring that as well, because they don't have that relationship with themselves. They're not knowing who they are enough to be able to then say no, and reality is that when you do that work and you know what that feels like when it is a match or there is a real connection. It's like the 3 guys I met before Gary, they were these, they weren't Jane. With him, it was just like, it was uncontrollable, and it was a real feeling, but I only knew that feeling because of the work that I had done with myself and the self-reflection and taking responsibility. Like, you want to feel empowered and loved, take responsibility for your love life up until now.
I love that. And I love how you're saying that. It's so very important. Are you getting some static on your end? Are you getting some static? I pulled out my microphone.
No.
Anyhow, we'll continue on. Static or no static. Yeah, I love how I don't want to go too extreme if there's no victims, because there is victims, but it's also
absolutely
after, how you deal with things after that matter in the end, and sometimes that can be quite a long journey, but we're definitely all so much more powerful than we realize. 100%. Now, we want to pick your brain. The audience and I want to absolutely pick your brain, because you've been through it all. You've come out on top, and now you're an expert to help other people find the love of their life or make their current relationship better. So for single women, we want to know, what are the 5 most common, mistakes or things that women misinterpret when they're in the dating scene?
Yeah, awesome. So I have made some notes on this because there was
I'm so excited.
No, we get we get to just jam. So I guess probably the main thing that I really noticed with a lot of women, and was really true and present for me, was that going out and seeking a relationship for the wrong reasons, seeking a relationship to feel whole, seeking a relationship to feel complete, or for validation of self-worth, or feeling like they're enough. Essentially all this is going to do is attract in, someone who is along the same lines, someone who is as insecure, and often this will turn into really toxic relationship environments, because two people are trying to get these needs met, this validation, this tell me I'm enough, but not knowing how to actually do that or be that for one another, because they are not that for themselves. I guess, one of the first things that came through was that whole needing to do that work to be able to create that wholeness within yourself, to really love and accept yourself to the point where you manifest and attract in someone who is going to meet you at that level, at that energetic level. No one's ever going to be able to give you that. ever. And even if you do find someone who is, like, I had a relationship with a guy after my first where I was cheated on, that he was madly in love with me, obsessed with me. But it didn't matter what he did. It was never enough for me to believe that I was worthy, because I didn't believe it. I honestly just didn't believe it. So it wasn't until I managed to do the work to change that story and create that belief that I was able to then manifest a man who fucking adores me. And I believe it.
I just went off on a tangent. There's so many good nuggets in there, because what you're saying is basically people often go to seek a relationship to get something from another person that they're not giving themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess when they don't get that from that person, there's going to become a lot of resistance and friction, probably fighting and resentment, because they're like, it's probably mostly on a subconscious level as well.
100%.
Yeah. And then they're not getting it from that person, and then they feel this way, but really what they're trying to get from the person is something that they really need to get and give to themselves first, and then go to seek a partner from that place.
Yeah, 100%. And it's that going into it with, I want this from you, I need this from you, I need you to be my source of validation and worth, and then not receiving that back to the level of which they feel satisfied, which then validates their unworthiness story. So they just keep playing out that pattern. Yeah, so, I'm going to leave you because you're not giving me what I need, you're not making me feel good enough, so I'm going to leave you, and then I'll go on to the next, and then play out the same pattern. And it's not until you come back and do the work and start actually giving that to yourself and being that person for yourself that you can then actually go into a relationship with a really beautiful foundation within yourself for a relationship to thrive on. Because it's like every relationship, this is true, is that you can do all this work, but then you'll go into a relationship and even more shit's going to bubble to the surface. Stuff that can only come to the surface within a union. So if you don't have that foundation and that knowing of who you are in that relationship with yourself prior, then you're going to crumble really quickly.
It's going to be a shitstorm.
A shitstorm.
Or
a bigger shitstorm than what it's going to be.
I love one of the pointers that you said.
So yeah, like,
you go, honey. Sorry, there was a time delay. You go.
No, you go for it.
Oh, thank you. I love one of the pointers that you said that then as well, because you said, first of all, we touched upon that, you're trying to sort of seek validation perhaps with the person, or seek this through another person, or seek that through another person. But there was something you also said at the end where it was kind of like, if you have an awareness of it, that could work too. Like if you're saying, well, maybe I should ask you this question. What if you have an awareness of it and you're like, okay, yeah. I'm noticing myself that what I'm noticing that I'm trying to get this guy's attention because you're not validating me, and I'm feeling like that in order for you to perhaps notice me, I'm going to get this person's attention to, that sort of game that can happen or play out when you're a little bit younger. What if someone's aware of it and they communicate that to their partner? Can that also work?
Yes, 100%. And this is like, there's some things that you need a partner to support you to heal and move through. So for me, a big one was porn. I had a really toxic relationship with porn. The first guy that cheated on me, I didn't know he was cheating on me, but he stopped having sex with me and all he was doing was masturbating porn. When I found out he was cheating, I then associated porn with cheating. So every time I got into another relationship and I found out a man was watching porn, I immediately had that trigger response that he was cheating on me. And that didn't get healed until this relationship, because it wasn't something when I was out of a relationship, I had no problem. It wasn't triggered at all because I wasn't close to anyone and there wasn't that fear, whereas getting into a relationship, porn would come up, or I'd find out my partner was watching porn, and that's when my insecurity and my fear would be triggered. So when I went into that, knowing that that was the case, knowing that it was a trigger and it was my responsibility, it was from stemmed from deep lack of self-worth and what had happened in the past. When we crossed that bridge in my relationship, in my current relationship, I was able to communicate with him and say, this is not me, this is a trigger, this is what I need support with, and we were able to heal that really beautifully together. It still took a couple of years, you know, of me like, no, I don't want you watching it. Yes, it's okay. Let's watch it together. No, I don't, like really toing and froing and finding out. But he was willing, because I was open and communicating with him all the time, he was willing to journey that with me. And because he's a fucking legend. He's just,
Sounds like
he's my person.
Legend. More of him, please. I love it.
Yeah.
I love how you touched upon the fact that you communicated it, because in a lot of these interviews, I find that, well, we touch upon the fact that, and we acknowledge the fact that women have a blockage about communicating, or they feel that by communicating, it's received quite badly. With men, it's received as nagging or being needy or whatever. But
it's the way we communicate.
It's the way, yeah, it's true. It is the way. And also, I find with the right man, or just a willing man, it's welcomed and appreciated. They love it.
They want to know.
They want to know.
Yeah, they want to know what's going on so that they can fix it and make you happy, because that's one of their core drivers, is to make you happy. He just wants you to be happy, but he can't do anything to support you unless he knows what's going on. But the key is not to be coming and pointing the finger and blaming them for your situation. And that's where that relationship and that awareness comes from. It's like, this is mine, this is what's going on for me, this is what I need from you. So then he knows exactly what he needs to do to provide support to you, gives him some kind of purpose, and he also knows it's going to make you happy. So he's going to show up for you.
That is key.
So there's like three kind of key pointers in regards to the way we communicate with men, and the way, like the drivers for them, providing purpose and making you happy are probably three of the core. And if we can communicate really effectively from knowing that, then our men just want to show up for us. They're just beautiful.
Not all,
they really do.
But the right man, and the way you see, 100% key. When you say to you, it's your stuff, it's mine, I'm feeling like this is what's coming up for me, it completely keeps the man's nervous system quite relaxed, and they step in it as a more of a like, oh, like, what do you
It's not about me. Yeah.
I haven't done anything wrong. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything's possible now.
Yeah.
I love that. So a few other tips of common mistakes that women make when they're dating.
Yes. So number 2, bringing desperate energy into the dating. Time's running out. I need to find someone. Where is he already? You know, those thoughts that can go through of like, why have I not met anyone yet? That desperate energy is going to be the biggest turn off for any prospective man. And it's just it's like the fear of missing out, but also like the kind of awareness of, well, she's not happy in her life. She's not happy in herself. She's not happy doing what she's doing. It creates this energy of like constriction that is a turn off, you know, that desperate energy. It's really, really common. That whole time is running out. Oh my God, I have to get this, blah, blah, blah. It's one of the biggest turnoffs and one of the biggest mistakes that women make. Do you want me to just roll with them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I kind of want to talk on each point because they're just so juicy. I mean, do you have time to do a second half?
Yeah.
I'm loving this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have so many questions. I love this sort of shit. I've just lived for this sort of stuff. I just love it. So when you said the desperate energy, now 2 things come into my mind. The first thing is, do you mean desperate energy as in they just want to have babies, they need a partner? Could it be you and they're just coming with that energy like they're just trying to fit this person into a cookie?
You'll do
kind of thing? Yeah. Okay. That's
yeah. But also that energy of I'm not good enough, that and still like that first point that we spoke on of like the seeking the wholeness and validation. It's like I need you. It's like we want to be in a space of I don't necessarily need you, but I want you. I have needs and I'm a needy person, yes, but I know how to take care of myself and I know how to fulfill my own needs, but I really want you in my life. It's a really different energy from like, I need you, anyone, you know, and this was reflected back to me so many times in my dating life, you know, of like, and that holding on too tight because it's, you know, oh, you're too good for me, or I'm not enough for you. Like, it all really stems back to that relationship with self, which they probably all do actually. It's like really just feeling so comfortable and safe within yourself, that, and then knowing that it's going to happen. And if it doesn't, like when I came out of that 4-month sabbatical, I was like, I'm so happy with my life. I'm so happy being with myself that if I meet someone amazing and if I don't, amazing. There was no attachment to needing someone in my life. I wanted someone, but my happiness and my fulfillment wasn't attached to that. So there was no desperation there anymore. Whereas prior to that, there was desperation. I was like, I need someone. Does that clarify?
Can that pendulum swing too far? Because
yes,
because I feel like I've on the extreme of that. I mean, I'm not standoffish. I would absolutely love love in my life. I would love to, you know, but it's gotten to the point where I'm just used to not having it at all, that I feel like that pendulum can swing so far to the point where the men I meet are like, where do I fit into this person's life? She has no need for anything. She's sort of so self-sufficient and independent. They just almost feel like there's just no need for them. And I only really realized that when I did this women's kind of course, because I would quite consider myself quite a very soft, it's a very soft Pisces kind of energy, but it's kind of like a men have this intuition that I don't think women even realize that they have. Like they can pick up on very subtle energies within us that perhaps we don't even really know about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Gary does it all the time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, you know, that swinging the other way can often be a self-protection thing as well, of like, I'm getting to the point where, and it is that energy, right? It's like, I don't need you. I'm like, there's like a balance of like, I need you and then I don't need you. And it's like being in the middle. It's like, I don't need you, but I want you. I desire you, and being able to allow to create space. And you know what? When you do meet the right person, you will create space. You know, you'll want to. So maybe it's more that you just haven't met that person that ticks those boxes, that sets those things off in you. Or if it resonates, is it self-protection? Is it a way of keeping men away so that you don't have to allow someone in?
I love that point about you saying where you will find space if it's the right person. I have so many girlfriends that meet men and they say they're just so busy. And I said, honey, if a man wants you, it doesn't even matter if he's got a meeting with the president. He will make time for you. He will make room for you. If he wants you, you will not be sitting there wondering if he wants you. You will know that this guy wants you. Yeah.
My guy flew up to Cairns every couple of weeks to see me for 3 months, and I flew down here once.
Wow. I love that.
Like there will be no doubt, and if there is confusion or questioning around whether they're into you, they're not into you. Not in the way that you probably desire them to. They're probably just more interested in getting you in the bedroom. Which is not bad if that's what you want.
I love that you're so adamant about that, because I'm so adamant about that. Like I said, the girlfriend's like, you know, but he's got this issue, or, you know, he's just working on himself, or he's this and he's that. And I said, look, that's fine. There's always going to be those things. But if someone wants you, they'll
make time for you.
Wanting you, that all that other stuff will go to the background, and the wanting you will come to the forefront. It'll just be something that he can't really. He'll have, if he's scared,
and if they're
overcome, like.
Yeah, and if they're having to make excuses for them, that's a big red flag as well.
Really?
You know, it's like, oh, he's so busy. Oh yeah, he's got a really important job. Oh, he's doing all this work and stuff. Great, bye.
Too busy for a girlfriend. No, he's just not that into you. Sorry.
To you.
that movie, but it's true though. I mean, I'm 45 now. It's kind of like you learn the ropes after a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you say you're 45?
Yeah.
Oh wow, you look amazing. I would not have thought you were 45.
I started yoga when I was 20.
Incredible.
Aerial yoga, so hanging upside down helps. Okay, so we've done 2 most common dating mistakes that women make. I'd love to hear more. We would love to hear more. Bring it on, sister.
Beautiful. So number 3 really relates back to the first one, and not knowing who they are and what they actually want, and then actually going kind of blind into the dating scene and going, oh, I'm just going to, try people. And I did this a lot. I was just like, oh, I'm just going to go and I'm going to try people on for size, and maybe they are Mr. Right. But it wasn't until I got crystal clear on what I wanted and who I was and my values and the things that were really important for me that I was able to then discern between who I was allowing into my space. And it was much easier to say no than it was, in the past, because I wasn't just like, oh, maybe. That clarity really helped create certainty and knowing in myself of who was for me and who wasn't. Really, really beautiful. And this also stops us from settling for less than what we actually deserve or desire. Number 4, not trusting their instincts, trusting the nudges that it's a no, not looking and acknowledging and noticing the red flags and walking away. Huge. I see this time and time again of women who, like we were talking about before, your friends that are like, oh, but he's got this going on, he's got this going on. It's like, no, see the red flags, acknowledge them, know that they are red flags, and walk away. Trust that instinct. Get to know your body so well that when she's saying it's a no, and that you listen to it and walk away, because this will generally lead you astray 9 times out of 10 if we listen to the mind. But our heart and our soul, our womb, is going to tell us exactly what is and isn't for us. But it's up to us to build that relationship with ourselves so that we can go into those dating experiences knowing what we want, knowing who we are, and trusting our intuition. Really, really important.
Well, can I stop you there?
And number 4?
Yes. Like, where are you going right now? I've got a really juicy question. Okay, so how do you distinguish between, because sometimes there's a lot of trauma, or you may be avoidant, and there may be contributing factors as to why perhaps you're getting signals from the body or emotions that is a no. How do you distinguish that between what you said, that it's your body's saying no because there perhaps isn't a soul connection, to that there's trauma that's rising up that's pushing that person away? Because that can be quite a fine line.
Yeah, and I love that you actually asked that question, because that is number 5.
Oh,
right? Like that's the thing of like people, women, men, not doing the work on themselves before going into the dating scene, not taking the time to embody the love that they truly actually desire and build that relationship with themselves, so that they know their traumas, they know their triggers, they know what is actually theirs and what's not. This is why doing that work before, during, after is so important, particularly after relationship breakdowns, where we have that time to reflect and be with ourselves. If you're someone listening that is like just a repeat breakup straight into another one, breakup straight into another one, and you continually are experiencing the same patterns, there's a huge red light there for you, and an indicator that it's time for you to actually maybe take some time to be with yourself, to learn about yourself, to develop that trust, develop the knowing within yourself, so that you do go into dating scenes and when it is just your trauma, and you get to go, no, that's okay, this feels actually really good, or know when it is alarm bells and red flags going off for you.
And it is a matter of knowing yourself so well. Like, from what you just said, then literally only at this ripe age would I be able to tell, okay, this is the trigger, okay, this is trauma, okay, this is some avoidance side, okay, this is that. Like, it literally, I think only now that I could really go into a relationship with that such definition as to what is rising, where that's coming from, and what that is, where it's started from, and just only now.
It's the fine-tuning.
Fine-tuning is exactly what I'm reaching for. Fine-tuning yourself so you can come to that person with that owning and say, this is coming up, this is what it's from, and this is what I need in order to move through that. Yeah.
In my personal experience, and this may be true for you and your listeners, but I always know when it's my shit because it's from here.
Got it.
You know, when it's my triggers and shit, it's coming from my mind. It's overthinking. It's the thoughts that are going through my head. When it's someone else and I'm feeling into energy, it's in my body. So there's like, I've built that relationship where I can have that awareness of like, is this coming out of my mind? Is this out of my ego, or is this actually my body telling me? And that's where that time with yourself is really important. And getting support, like getting a freaking mentor, someone to help you learn this stuff. And it's not even just for relationships, it's just life, you know, like it'll save you so much time, so much stress, so much trauma, to actually, really learn to decipher between your body signals and your brain, your mind.
I love that you have brought that up. And what it really, for me, brings to the surface is that everybody's body and the way it reacts as to what that means is different. Because for me, because I was taught at a very young age that my feelings are nothing and to disconnect from any part of myself. So if something happens, I will feel it in my body energetically first, but it actually takes me a while to actually think what that is, because it will just be a feeling of
interesting.
Just some sort of feeling, and the words don't come quickly. I actually have to sit there and go, okay, now I know this is feeling and meaning this, but why? And then I actually have to consciously make a connection to my feelings as to why. So, and I love
beautiful.
Bodies differently, and that's really important to know your symphony and how that works and sounds for you.
100%.
So they're the 5 points.
They're the 5 points.
So we need to put this in a little pocketbook for people so that they can just pull out. I have a question for you to ask you, and not quite end this series, but come towards it. What advice would your future self give to your present self?
That life is full of seasons. Just because you're in one season now doesn't mean that it's going to last forever. And just to remain centered, remain present, remain with the breath, and just keep your heart open.
I love that.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Where can people find you? How can we get a little piece of the Nikii? What have you got coming up that people can, plug into and be a part of?
Yeah, beautiful. So I generally tend to spend majority of my time on Instagram and Facebook. So it's Nikii, Nikii.Syme on Facebook, Instagram, and then Nikii Syme. I can't remember the actual handle, but Nikii Syme on Facebook. And then I also actually have an event coming up on the 9th of July called Tu Amore, and it is a singles night for beautiful humans, beautiful singles in Brisbane. So 15 men, 15 women, beautiful luxe evening, application process to really discern between who comes, so we're knowing that the people that are joining us are really there for the right reasons. And just a bit of fun, a bit of luxe fun.
Oh, that's
really excited for that.
I wish I could. I moved back to Victoria.
Have you?
Yeah, I just got sick of being flooded in Byron every single day. I was just like, Victoria seemed like a better option at the time. So otherwise, I would absolutely love to come. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. And guys, if you're listening, go ahead and meet Nikii and meet amazing singles that are going to be there waiting for you with these tools that you now have under your belt, like tools that you can use. Thank you so much. I would love to have you on the show again. Beautiful.
Would love to. Yeah. We'll do that live. I think the live would be great fun.
They can also find you on TikTok. I know that because I had a little
TikTok.
It's absolutely hilarious. It's so good. Yeah.
I am on TikTok. Yes, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Down the bottom, and so people can find you easily. Thanks.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank
you for having me.
Bless you. Bye.
Bye.